Do you want a forehand topspin like this? Then you need to stop listening to advice like this. Hi, my name's Hemming Hu. I'm a two-time Olympic table tennis player, but I wasn't always. I was once in your shoes, confused about the game, listening to a million people, hell, even my parents who meant well, but they had no idea about the sport. I'm going to explain exactly why the advice that's in these forums where I posted the screenshot, it's just wrong advice, and why you must use your wrist, even though these guys are telling you shouldn't, and it's the last thing, why it's completely wrong. Now, if, like the guy said in this video, you use your shoulder and your elbow, what's going to happen is you're going to fail to get spin on the ball. Now, table tennis is very different to tennis and badminton and squash in the sense that a table tennis racket is extremely light. It's made of rubber, whereas tennis and badminton are of strings, as well as squash. So because it's made of rubber and because it's so quick and you have such a short time to do things, you must spin the ball. To spin the ball, you must very efficiently do it. Now, we can't do that if we're using our shoulder and our elbow, because by definition, if we move our shoulder more, if we move our elbow, our wrist is going to slow down. Now, if we look at what happens when we use our wrist completely, this is what happens. We see this ball spin a lot, right? The rubber and the racket is so light and it's on our hand that if we don't get our hand moving a lot, there's no way that we can get the ball fully gripping on the rubber. Now, again, like I said, if we use our elbow and we use our shoulder, that will by definition cut down how fast our hand moves. So you're going to get something more like this. You're going to see the sound is flat, the ball is not spinning. Now, for those of you that are having trouble to spin the ball and get a correct forehand topspin, in general, you need to be able to isolate the wrist. You need the wrist to go back. So you need the wrist to go back and you need to fully grip the ball by turning the wrist as much as you can and get as much contact time with the ball as possible. Contact time with the ball and the rubber is how we get spin. It's how we get spin on a serve. It's how we get spin on a backhand. If you're trying to forehand topspin in training, the best way to start is by getting someone to feed you a ball that is not too fast, not too slow, at a pretty comfortable height. So pretty low, and you're going to do something more like this, right? Once you can do that, that then sets the framework for you to start getting body into the shot, for you to start learning how to deal with balls that are high, balls that are different, balls that have variations in which they certainly will come in matches. Because players' first step is by learning the wrist and gripping the ball successfully. Once they can do that, once they can cut the old habits of using elbow, using shoulder, they're able to spin the ball successfully. Getting step one is super crucial. If you can't do that first and foremost, it doesn't matter how well you use your body. It doesn't matter how well you may think you can adapt to high balls, backspin balls. You're going to struggle to spin the ball in general. So being able to do something like this is a framework and a base, like a house. Like a house, if you don't have the bricks laid out, the house is going to collapse, no matter how good the ceiling is, no matter how good the roof is. So this is where it gets really dangerous, because a beginner, an absolute beginner, is actually easier to teach than someone who's been learning the wrong habits for a very, very long time. Because someone who's been doing this for 30 years, not even I can help them, right? It's extremely hard to help, because even when I tell them to do something like this, they still end up going to their old habits in a very subconscious way. So if you just go and take the advice of let's listen to everyone, it's a surefire way to get confused and really just not improve, because you're trying to chase 50 rabbits and you're going to catch none. Rather, I'm not saying you can't learn bits and pieces from everyone, but you want to look at, okay, is this person where I want to be? Have they been to the level that I'm trying to get to or higher? Do they have proof teaching others like me to get to where I want to get to? Now, I know it's hard to find someone who these days, especially on the internet, who has that, but you want to find these people and really, have very much a laser focus on, I'm going to take their advice. Are they going to be correct in everything? No one is 100% correct in everything. There are some things that are opinion, but people definitely take this to the extreme. So there are some things like how you play a forehand. There's a way to play a forehand topspin. There's a way to play a tennis forehand. There's a way to play a badminton forehand. However, once the game gets more nuanced, there may be certain things in there that everyone does, does things in different ways. As an example, you look at Ma Long, he has a very nice forehand topspin. You look at Damien Eloy, he doesn't have a very good looking forehand topspin. You look at Schlager, it doesn't look good, but the key principles and the key techniques, they're not violating it. They're certainly doing it well. It just happens to not look good. So do they have clean technique? All of them, yes. Now, someone can have a better looking technique than Schlager, but if they're not successfully brushing the ball, they're not successfully controlling it with their body later on, it's not as good. It's simply not as good. Like Daniil Medvedev's tennis forehand is technically and principle-wise a lot better than most people in the world. That's just fact. So people take opinions way too far. People mean well. Everyone has egos. I have an ego. You have an ego. Whoever's watching, and everyone wants to feel like their opinion matters. I get that. That's human nature. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not slamming these people. I'm just saying that these are people that are giving the wrong advice, and then other people from the internet just take it at face value. They believe it, and then they go and do what they say, and they build the wrong habits. They stagnate for years on end. They get worse, and they get frustrated because the worst part is they don't even know this is happening. So I'm just going to prove that wrong today, that you have to use your wrist if you're going to get a spin ball like that. Right, on the forehand topspin, the first and foremost is to pull back the arm using the wrist and then grip the ball by getting as much contact time with the ball and your racket as possible. Spin, at the end of the day, it's the speed that the ball and the bat collide versus multiplied by the amount of time that they spend together. So if you have very minimal contact time with the ball, you're not going to get any spin, because something multiplied by 0 is 0, or something multiplied by something close to 0 is going to be a low number. So I hope that breaks down any confusion. And if you see stuff on this, like the internet saying using the wrist on the forehand is wrong, you know that it's wrong, right? If you don't already, if you're still not convinced by the end of this video, I do have a video that talks about how to use the wrist on a forehand topspin, or how to use the arm, how to get the arm motion correct on a forehand topspin. But keep in mind, that's not the end, right? Once you can do that, you want to then learn how to get your body into it. You want to then learn how to adapt that swing when balls come different, because they will. You look at the professionals play, they're never just forehand topspinning like that. They're doing this, they're going up when it's backspin, they're having to go all the way around when they're killing a high ball. You really eventually need to learn 10, 11, 12 ways to forehand topspin. But first and foremost, do this, and that will set a very solid base for you to progress forward. There is so much information out there today, and it's extremely easy to get confused, especially in a game like table tennis that is already super complex, super diverse, and super hard. This is where it gets dangerous, because people without the credibility, without the proof of themselves being at a decent level or a very high enough level, and proof of coaching other clients to get results, they start chiming in, they mean well, but they give advice that ultimately is incorrect. Hope that helps. If you want to see more and you want to hear more of this in much more depth, and you want to get personalized help from me to really pinpoint where your game is and how to go forward, join my school community. It's going to be in the comments and in the description. I'm going to put a link in there, and it's free. So I look forward to seeing you on the inside. And as usual, let me know what you liked about the video, and let me know what you want to see more of in the future.